There's a strange moment you get as a gardener or homesteader when curiosity overrides good sense. You're cleaning up the garden, moving spent plants and scraps to the compost pile, when one rotten cabbage catches your attention. Soft, sagging, the kind of vegetable most people wouldn't even touch. But on that day, instead of tossing it aside, I buried it right in the middle of a garden bed as an experiment. I wasn't expecting miracles. At best, I thought it would rot quietly and disappear. What actually happened changed the way I build soil forever, and it connected me with a tradition deeper and older than modern agriculture. That rotten cabbage turned into one of the most powerful soil-building tools I've used. And today, I'm going to walk you through what happened, why it worked, and how you can apply the same method to supercharge your garden without spending a single cent. The transformation starts the moment the cabbage becomes food for the soil instead of waste. When I buried that cabbage, something remarkable began almost immediately below the surface. Rotting vegetables are already in the early stages of decomposition, and when placed directly into soil full of microbes, fungi and earthworms, the breakdown accelerates. My soil was neither the richest nor the loosest, but within days it felt more alive. Digging with my hands a week later, I found the surrounding soil darker and softer than the untouched areas. The key is that rotten cabbage, like most decayed vegetables, is rich in water, nitrogen and microbial life. By burying it, I created a nutrient bomb in the center of the bed. Slow-release fertilizer embedded exactly where the soil biology needed it. This mirrors an old agricultural practice used in colder climates before compost bins existed. Farmers dug trenches during winter and buried food scraps directly in the ground so the soil itself would compost them. They didn't talk about carbon ratios or fungal networks, but they saw the results season after season. That's what I witnessed. The cabbage didn't just disappear. It dissolved into the soil and fed everything around it. The real shock came when plants responded weeks later with a vigour the bed had never shown before. 2 weeks after the burial, I planted leafy greens and root crops around the area. At first, nothing seemed unusual. The sprouts came up normally, but by week 4, the difference was unmistakable. The plants nearest the cabbage grew noticeably taller, greener and stronger. Leaves were broader, roots were thicker. The bed looked as if it had been amended with high-grade compost, even though I had done nothing except bury one rotten vegetable. The reason this happened comes down to how soil life organizes itself. When a concentrated source of decay is introduced, microbes gather. Fungi extend hyphae toward it. Worms chew through it and drag pieces into deeper layers. This creates a hot zone of biological activity, and the plants growing nearby tap directly into this surge of fertility. The cabbage acted like a buried treasure chest of organic matter. As it broke down, it provided nitrogen early on, but more importantly, it offered long-lasting humic material that improved structure and moisture retention. Even after the cabbage was fully gone, the bed continued performing at a higher level. This method works because it mimics natural decomposition cycles that forests and wild ecosystems rely on. If you've ever walked through woodland, you've seen the effect of decaying plant matter on soil. Fallen leaves and rotting vegetation form pockets of fertility that feed saplings and understory plants. Nature doesn't gather organic matter into a pile somewhere else. It decomposes everything right on the spot. That is the principle behind burying a rotten cabbage in your garden bed. Instead of waiting months for compost to finish in a bin, you let the soil organisms do the composting exactly where you want the nutrients to end up. This cuts out the middleman and immediately feeds everything living in that soil layer. Some gardeners call this trench composting. Some refer to it as pit composting. Others see it simply as the oldest method of soil building known to mankind. Whatever the name, the effect is the same. Healthier soil without cost or complexity. Here's how you can apply this method safely, effectively, and, well, repeatedly. Start with fully spoiled vegetables, not fresh ones. Rotten cabbage, lettuce, squash, tomatoes, pumpkin innards, and soft root vegetables all work extremely well because they break down quickly. Dig a hole at least 20 to 25 centimeters deep in the bed you plan to plant. Bury the vegetable intact or chop it into pieces if you want faster decomposition. Cover it completely with soil and water lightly to activate microbial activity. Wait at least 1 to 2 weeks before planting directly over the buried material. This lets the initial heating phase subside. Plant crops around the area, not directly on top of the buried cabbage, unless it has already broken down. For heavy feeders like tomatoes or zucchini, burying vegetable matter around the planting site gives them a nutrient-rich zone to grow into. You can repeat this process every few weeks in different parts of the bed, creating pockets of long-term fertility. Over time, the entire bed becomes looser, richer, and far more resilient to drought. Burying one rotten cabbage taught me more about soil than a dozen books. It reminded me that gardening isn't about buying inputs. It's about understanding how soil life responds to organic matter. If you want more practical, tried and tested methods like this, make sure to subscribe to Farm Logic and share this guide with someone who loves real, grounded garden knowledge. The more we spread it, the better our harvests get.